I think Taylor Swift is awesome, actually. She has the voice of an angel, for Christ's sake. I've seen a lot of the old man yelling at clouds videos about the music industry, or the decimation of the music industry, and they've been very critical of musicians and good, what's considered good music, not being made today because of this, that, and the other reason. It's, I have a really other side of the coin view of that, because I stumble across artists all the time that are amazing. Hey, welcome to Guitar Vacation. One particular album that really caught me was Coltrane Live at Birdland. I think my dad actually bought the CD, and it quickly disappeared from his possession and was in my car for thereafter. And you hear that Afro Blue opening, and just the whole album, the whole live performance, pretty good illustration of all the things that make Coltrane the pinnacle. That's how I see it anyway. When I would listen to that album in my imagination, I guess I'm seeing Coltrane and Tyner and the band playing in this giant auditorium, kind of like Royal Albert Hall or something like that, and this huge crowd, because this is one of the best musicians to ever live, arguably the best as far as jazz is concerned. And that's a conversation for another day. The idea of the person at the peak of this music, this art, the most pure manifestation of this art we call music, playing in front of huge masses of rabid fans, that was not reality for Coltrane. And it's not reality for musicians of that caliber now. My dog started barking, so I had to make a musical interlude. I'm recording the old Tweed Twin, and it was louder than my dog's barking with my door closed. So, picking back up, the reality, from what I could tell just from a real cursory bit of research, Birdland, the old Birdland, at like full capacity, probably against fire code's capacity, 500 people. So this vision I had of what Coltrane, the environment Coltrane was in when he played that album Live at Birdland, totally imaginary. They were probably at and above capacity, but it was about 500 people. The Vanguard, famous jazz club where everybody's cut their teeth and all the greats have played, and 130 people. Coltrane Live at the Vanguard, 130 people. And then I take that into my own experience. I've been blessed to see some of my favorite players, and one that comes to mind is Scott Henderson, because he really had a huge effect on my beginnings of being a guitarist that wanted to do jazz and fusion, kind of, because he really mixes the jazz, rock, and blues so well, and still does. I got to see Scott Henderson, and I was close enough to him to adjust his pedal settings. If that venue sat 70 people, I'd be surprised. It was probably closer to 50, and he was playing 2 back-to-back shows and doing the master class thing and all that. Scott's been at it for decades, and he's one of the top fusion guitarists. That is the market for that higher version of this art we call music. So what does that really tell you about human nature and society and what people consume and what they like? We're going to go more into that. First, I'm going to let you hear what Bryan Baker had to say about this very, very type of thing and the reality of what would be becoming a hot jazz fusion guy, because he had that at his fingertips. He had the ticket. He was kind of on the ride already. And just hear what he has to say about it.
So yeah, in a pure market-based system, that would have been the right choice to have made.
Jazz.
I guess so. Yeah, I would have kind of been the prodigy at Berkeley, and then done the record with I would have hired X name and X name and X name to make a sick rhythm section trio, and I would have played 3 standards and 7 originals, and I would have gone this whole down this whole route, which eventually would have ended up with me being a 45-year-old man with no kids and traveling the world in order to pay my rent in New York. That would have been the end result of that, because I've seen it. I've literally seen it happen to plenty of people. And that would have been fine if if that was the music that continually, brought me joy, and I didn't feel curious outside of that. If I didn't feel tempted to stray from the relationship. But man, I just the guitar is an incredible instrument. Music is endless. I mean, so I could never be persuaded to make a choice creatively that was correct market-wise, but didn't bring me any interest or excitement. And for sure, undoubtedly, it was the wrong economic choice, but the correct creative choice. And I think that's what I've realized, is that very, very rarely, and it only happens in truly, truly lucky, purely random, chaotic situations, do you have someone who's able to meld those two things, where it's I just so happen to love pop and only pop, and I just so happen to be incredibly wealthy doing that. Great. This is my life. It's very, very rare. Very rare. It's usually I made this choice and I have this side project that plays the baked potato or whatever, and that's my real stuff. But I do this, and that's usually how people operate. And
unpack everything he's saying there, because it's multi-layered. The most marketable, money-making path he had as kind of a guitar, jazz, fusion prodigy was to do like he said and live the life on the road, where you're playing in front of small audiences to pay the bills, and definitely not becoming a rich man. That is the highest level. And he even chose not to do that, because Bryan's such a unique individual. He's not going to make a decision based on marketing. He's going to do what's true to himself, which is largely why we haven't seen any new work from him for a while. I've seen a lot of the old man yelling at clouds videos about the music industry, or the decimation of the music industry, and they've been very critical of musicians and good, what's considered good music, not being made today because of this, that, and the other reason. It's, I have a really other side of the coin view of that, because I stumble across artists all the time that are amazing, and the sad thing about it is nobody knew about them, including me. And I'm not just talking about jazz and fusion. I was watching a indie movie last night, and a song came on. I was like, man, that is just awesome. It was a real folk, I think, just mandolin, a cappella type deal with a female vocalist. And I wound up, I didn't have any idea who the person was. And I don't think they have any type of huge following, and they're not making millions of dollars. Very few musicians are nowadays. I don't think the whole music industry is an absence of good artists doing good things. I think it's so fractured and fragmented now that there are so many musical artists that there's people in obscurity that are creating brilliant art. So I don't want this to be a video about people listening to radio pop and bro country and all that are bad. It's more of a reflection on people. Really, the people that enjoy and appreciate that higher form of art are a really silent minority. What does that tell you about most humans? Are there that many people that are happy to sit on the couch after they've done whatever job, and as long as they can burn through their next Netflix series, they're happy? Is that all they want? Is there not anything more to those people? And why are there people that do see more, and that they appreciate that small percentage more so much that they endlessly pursue it? And, I'm not a smart genius dude. I'm a redneck playing guitar in his guitar room, and I'm not even a real guitar player, because no other human has actually seen me ever play guitar. So I don't know what separates me or somebody like me, because it dang sure, for me, it's not intellect, from those that are happy with just spoon-fed, marketed crap. It's one of my favorite Tool songs. The song title is not YouTube friendly, as are most of the lyrics are not YouTube friendly. But at the end of the song, it says something, and I'm paraphrasing, that all you hear and wear and see on TV is a product begging for your fat, dirty dollar. And are you going to shut up and wait in line like livestock to pay your dollar to participate in the mediocrity. So what separates people where you have a majority seemingly that is happy to just appreciate the art that's spoon-fed to them through propaganda and what society says is the status quo, if you will, versus people that are really looking for art and beauty on the fringes, because that's really what we're talking about. Somebody that appreciates musical art so much that they have to look beyond. They can appreciate that, which is simple. You know, I can get a huge kick out of a 3-chord banger rock song, no problem. But I want to comprehend the musical art as far out on the fringes as my little mind can. I don't know. What does that tell us about people, and what does that tell us about society? In the end, I don't want anything negative to be taken from it. There's nothing wrong with somebody being content with mediocrity. There's also something to be said, though, for people who push the boundaries of their own mind in search of that which is beautiful. I didn't intend for this guitar vacation to be such heavy subject matter, but I did want to highlight the paradox of those that are at the highest level of art are often those that are the least appreciated. I do want to reiterate that these videos that have been kicking around YouTube about the music industry, mostly from guys that are a generation older than me, just expressing doom and gloom about artistry in the music industry. I think it's quite the opposite. I think there are so many great artists making so much beautiful musical art. They're just tucked away in obscurity because of how music is disseminated now. And to that effect, the golden carrot for making that art is not really there. I will just say that if you are somebody that appreciates beautiful musical art, do it 100%. Look for it 100%. When you find it, appreciate it 100%. And if there's a way you can support that artist and let them know that they are appreciated by somebody across the country or across the world, do it. And if you can't do that, lock yourself up in a bedroom and play wrong notes on the guitar. That's one of the best ways you can really support it. So I'll end this edition of Guitar Vacation here. And until the next time I talk to you, I want you to fully appreciate the art that's special to you and do it 100%. We'll talk to you soon. Later.